Welcome to The Pivot, stories of people who made a change. My name is Andrew Osenga, and my guest today is Ross King. Ross is an amazing singer-songwriter. He is a guy a lot like me. We're about the same age. He's maybe a couple years older than I am. We write songs, and we talk about our feelings, maybe a little more than sometimes makes people comfortable. We spend a lot of our time not just making music, but mentoring younger artists, and we both love that. We're dads. At the time of this recording, Ross and I had something else in common. Both of our wives were going through really hard cancer journeys. My wife has been diagnosed with something called multiple myeloma. She's been going through that for over 2 years now. In between the time of this recording and you hearing it and seeing it now, unfortunately, Ross's wife, Staci, passed away. She died on August 7th. We recorded this in June this summer. I had lunch with Ross earlier this week, and I brought up the fact that we'd had this conversation 6 weeks before she passed away, and said, how do you feel about me putting this out? Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to just scrap it? Do you want to do it again? What do you think? And he was like, nah, man, put it out. Yeah, that was a snapshot of that moment in time. And that's what I love about Ross. So there's so many things I love about Ross, but one of the things that I love about him is he is so honest, just unflinchingly honest. It's what I love about his songs. It's what I love about being with him. And what I have come to love about being his friend is that I know that he tells me the truth. If I play him a song and he doesn't like it, he'll tell me. And so I know that when he tells me he cares about me, he does, and he follows up on that. And I watched him care for his wife, just such a beautiful way, and it was tough. But we talk about music and songwriting. We talk about caring for our wives in these seasons. We talk about a lot of stuff. It's a real honor to get to share this conversation with you. I hold it as pretty sacred because of what Ross and I were going through then and what Ross and his family are going through now. Hanging out with Ross is fun, even with all that he's been going through. Like I said, we had lunch on Monday, and we laughed a lot. Like, he's just an alive human being. And I know you're going to love this conversation with Ross King. Like, you know exactly where I am because you lived in my house for a couple months.
I did. Sure did.
Which is a trip.
Yeah, before and after it both before and after it flooded like a son of a gun.
Yeah. What year was that?
Well, that was 2011 for us.
This 2011.
Whatever. Yep.
Yeah, and it
had just flooded
in 20. That's right.
Because we came and Staci wanted to take the kids to all these tourist things, and none of the tourist things were open. Because it was all recovering. It'd be like, oh, let's go see this. Yeah. Oh no, they don't have that. Like, there was like splash pads that they would have gone to do, and they couldn't. Stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's right. So, yeah. Cause you guys came for like 6-8 weeks to like,
it was
try
closer
out.
It was closer to 10, to be honest.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Cause you were gone the whole thing. Like,
you were gone all summer doing Young Life.
Yeah. Like, we got there a week or so after you left and left 2 or 3 weeks before you came back. It was almost the whole time.
Yeah. And I barely knew you.
No, barely. Britt Norville was the reason why this happened.
Yeah. Yeah. We're better friends now than we were when you moved into my house.
For sure. Which would have helped me because I was so mad at your lawnmower that I would have, I judged you for your how.
To be fair, I have a lot more reason to be mad at my lawnmower than you do.
That's totally fair. Yeah. But my boys went nuts on your Legos, and just, man, what a.
Yeah,
you have the classics.
I do.
You have like the Spaceman and all that stuff.
Epic childhood collection.
It was my boys were like, "Whoa, this is like old stuff," like original OG bricks. So,
like, I love being a dad of girls. I've 3 girls.
Yeah,
but that is one sad thing is that they never like just dumped out my Legos and went crazy.
Yeah,
I wanted to just go crazy.
Well, and the thing about Legos, and you're speaking to it right now, is like, my oldest son's 21. He'll still occasionally buy a Lego set. He doesn't always build it, but he's like, I'm going to have this. This is a cool set.
Dude, I just got that guitar pedal right there, which is from JHS, that it came almost like a Lego set. It is like, it was an unassembled guitar pedal. and it came with the instructions. It came like in an IKEA box, and it came with like IKEA instructions. And you
Why?
had to, just because we love Legos. It's like the same exact thing. And it was just, you got the joy of,
but that feels like when you go to one of those places where they make you cook your own food. And you're
it was kind of that.
Yeah. But, see, you're so, to me, you're very unique in this business because you're very like balanced left and right brain, kind of, if that's even a thing anymore, because you really are like a technician in lots of ways. And you look at things a little bit more like, I mean this in a good way. Like, I wish I was organized like this. Like you probably understand music theory, at some level, and you have like spreadsheets in your brain, somewhat. No?
Yeah. I got a D- in intro to music theory the semester that I got my record deal.
Well, that was probably more about the way they teach it to us is so silo.
I do know what, but I am a little, yes.
Well, when it comes through and look at the way you did the Leonard and Lonely Astronaut. That was like a very scientific, you had a bunch of I don't know, like columns and lines that you dealt with to put that together. I would have never done that. So,
because you're a normal human being. Yeah.
Well, you're going to go at the end of your life. You're going to be like, yeah, that was pretty cool that I did that. I mean, you got a lot of fans who are like, nobody else would do something like this. And that's why I like this guy. Well, so, anyway, but enough about you.
Enough about,
I didn't come on here to talk about you.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew. Exactly. But that is how we met. We met because you
I needed somewhere to stay. And dude, listen, I got 10 years of publishing deals and dozens of dollars in publishing money. I because of that 8 or 10 weeks, I wrote every single day. I had coffee meetings 3 times a week, every single weekday. And when I got home, like within a week of getting home, I had 3 publishing offers.
Wow.
Which at the time I thought, man, you're about to be rich, which wasn't the case.
Okay. So you moved to Nashville to be a songwriter, like in your late 30s?
Oh gosh, no, I was 42.
Wow.
Yeah. Really dumb. Really a bad idea. And at a time when the ground had shifted and was continuing to shift significantly in how songwriting is monetized. So I actually came under the sort of the premise of, if you get 25, 30 cuts in a year, you've got money, and even people who invited me to come thought
and to be clear, not like millionaire money, like just care for your family money.
Yeah. No, it's like right. No, like you could have expected a modest 6-figure salary from you get a couple to 3 dozen cuts in a year, major label cuts. You're looking at at least a modest 6-figure life, even if they aren't big radio.
Yeah. And
that's how it was. And it really moved. I don't know. I'm guessing in like a 5 or 6 or 8 year period, it went from that to what's true now.
To maybe a car payment. Okay. So you moved here when you were 42, but you were already doing songwriting professionally with people in Nashville. And before that, you
mostly indie artist, worship leading,
And was that your full time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been weirdly and not like super successfully, but I have been a full-time working musician since college.
Yeah.
Now I've had moments where I was like part-time interim worship leader at a church or, got some consulting gig, short-term, whatever. But I have made a living from doing music-related things exclusively for 30 years, which is crazy. And for all the jokes about dream crushing, that is the dream. I mean, short of the crazy people who are just like super famous, being able to say, yeah, this has been my job. Because you and I came up, Caveman's Call, which you were part of, kind of huge, then sort of gone, then back, and tons of folks who we started out with got a job or were doing really well, maybe got signed, whatever. And then now they're just doing something else,
Yeah.
And so mine was a way more of just like a steady, I didn't ever have any like massive spikes of, I'm crushing it or I have some viral thing going on, but I have made a consistent living for 30 years doing pretty much all creative musical things. That's great. I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's dive in with the big question for this podcast. So the idea, when I started this podcast 7 years ago, I did it for about 3 years. And that podcast.
And is that what Pivot was? I mean, I listened, but I didn't ever listen to that, like sort of like mission statement. Is that basically what the point is like?
Yeah. Well, I started it after I lost a job, and I had this interesting experience where, people talked to me differently after I lost my job. Because I'd never had a job until
right.
I was 35. I'd always been like you. I'd always just been a musician, had creative roles, and then when I lost a job, all of a sudden people would take me out to lunch. They'd buy me dinner. They'd go for a walk, and well, man, let me tell you, this same thing happened to me, or man, let me tell you this, or you know what? All of a sudden, I had these like.
Yeah.
People were
you're hearing those stories
with me that they weren't sharing freely. And I was like, why am I not talking like this with people all the time?
Yeah. Right. Because it's now they're giving you a level of sort of vulnerability and a window into a lot of the engine for who they are. Right?
Yeah.
Like you weren't getting before.
Yeah. My friendships got deeper when my life got harder. And I was like, I want more people to hear these conversations. And so I didn't have anything else going on with my life. And so I was like, I'll start a podcast. So I feel like it was pretty, started.
You had a good listenership, I feel like.
It did really well. And I did about 100 episodes, but it was all kind of about career and sort of career and faith. And then life got busy and I stopped doing it. But I feel like in this season, I'm really curious about different things, and I'm still curious about faith and career, very much so.
Sure.
Maybe more calling than career, I'd say.
Okay.
But I'm also, we live in this age of just where belief is so interesting, and people have identified themselves in such stark terms by their belief and by opposing beliefs, maybe. And so I think it's interesting.
Their beliefs are wrapped up in and tied to stuff that we wouldn't have ever said would be the main stuff tied up in and wrapped up in belief.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, politics and politics is a big one, but just beliefs about the world and,
So anyway, it just got me thinking, how do people get, I guess watching people get into that with politics made me think, how do people get there?
Right.
And then that just begs the question of, how do people change their minds? And but that question can mean anything. And so I'm just really curious to you, Ross, what is something that you have changed your mind about?
Well, I'll tell the listeners, whoever they are, that you let me know this question was coming. And I immediately was like, I don't know how much time he's got, because I've changed my mind on almost everything. Like it's easier to tell you what hasn't changed. But I will say that, let me just say it like this, and maybe this will spark a specific question, but I'm an adoptive father of 4 kids, and there's varying racial and ethnic backgrounds in those kids. Post 2020, which was a very shaping time for lots of racial and ethnic stuff in our country.
You adopted them post 2020?
No, I'm saying I currently am that person in post 2020. So it's like things are different, right? No, I adopted them as babies, but we did. So, but and I am a husband of a cancer patient. I am parentless. I haven't had parents for a little while. And one of them died in a crazy tragedy, and I have was pretty traumatized by that. I've been to court for a car wreck I had about 15, 20 years ago that ended up being like a lawsuit where I was like, I'm laying out that a bunch of big sort of spikes of traumatizing things, when that happens, if you don't relook at your life, it's only because something unhealthy is happening in you, right? You always reassess life when something that traumatic happens. And this, I mean, but I just, so for me, you could grab any one of those traumas and any number of other things that aren't that dramatic and say, oh, that must have changed you, right? And if it didn't, what's wrong with you, right? And so like I have this, but I think I could summarize all of that pretty easily with this theory I have, is that heavily traumatizing things do kind of one of two things to a person's soul, spirit, psyche, whatever. And those two things are on a spectrum. They're not like hard black and white and whatever, but on the two ends of the spectrum are, I will never let that happen to me ever again, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't happen to me ever again. Oh, and this is on the other side for those who are listening and not seeing, on the other end is, oh, this is why people are so crazy and wounded. I have empathy. Okay. So this side, the first thing is, that was so scary to me and so hurtful to me and so wounding to me that out of protection, fear, anger, kind of close the wagons around your circle wagons around your heart. I'm going to set up systems that will not allow hurt anymore. And this one is, I don't know if I have any authority to like judge as easily, because I'm now pretty screwed up from this, and I'm going to try to be more mindful of the other. Now I'm painting them as if the first one's bad and the second one's good. They both can be bad. You can obviously be too angry, but you also can be just a doormat who says, oh, well, I guess since everybody's been hurt, then nobody's responsible for whatever. And you can also on the anger side be like, I'm good at boundaries now or whatever, right? But I think most people respond to their traumas, the big ones, in one of those ways, again, on a spectrum, right? And for me, for the most part, the repeated traumas like that knocked down my walls of judgment. And I don't think judgment's horrible. Everyone, oh, judgment's the worst. It's not. We all use judgment. It's not a terrible thing.
Continue. Yeah.
No, I just gonna say, but it knocked down walls of like, it opened my eyes to, this is what someone who's going through this feels potentially, and it's why they have a hard time coping or dealing with this particular thing. And I'm going to try to see life through their thing, and so then go back to the adoption thing, so 2020 happens. And
can I interrupt really quickly?
Yeah,
when you
I know
say
I'm ranting, so
no. When you say judgment, what do you mean by the word judgment? You say knock down my walls.
I probably shouldn't have used. I mean the negative kind, where I would say, I'm certain I understand this, and now I'm making a judgment about it.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
Like this person, like whoever you were before you had kids and talked about parenting.
yeah.
Right.
Enough said.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. That kid, I would deal with that kid, whatever.
Yeah. I would never. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, but to give an example, an example would be this, we get married, we are having trouble making babies. We decide to look into adoption. As we continue to try to make babies, we adopt. In that adoption process, we end up, for a lot of reasons, being open to children of any ethnic background. So we ended up with two boys who were biracial, some African American in their lineage and some white people. All right, so a bunch of, as a conservative white Christian guy, a bunch of thoughts on how that would go and how I'd be at that. And
you're living in Dallas, Texas, at this, or where are you?
College Station, Texas, but yeah, okay. That whole, but it's basically the same. And learning slowly along the way of raising them. Okay, some of my perspectives are changing. Some things I'm reading are different. People that I'm meeting through this process are opening my eyes. Whatever it is, and just general growth in life. You just grow. But 2020 is this sort of crucible of all the big shootings that everyone talks about happened in 2020. All the main. And so a lot of, and of course, we're all stuck at home watching screens because it's 2020, and so that's a crucible. And then my teenage sons come to me essentially, hey, tell us about George Floyd, tell us about Breonna Taylor, tell us, whatever. And I would go to them and say, tell me what I'm not knowing about your experience, And so they're telling me, well, and I'm saying things like, are there things that happen to you that I don't know about that you think I should, or that now I'm asking?
And they're how
and they
old
told me,
at this age?
Let's see, that was 5 years ago. So they are 13 and 15, 16.
Okay.
So, and they're at school and hanging out with,
they're out in the
whatever.
world. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that to say, if you just took that without any of the other stuff that I mentioned, I would say, I changed my view on race in America. Because then I'm reading, I'm reading Brian Stevenson, and I'm reading James Cone, and all these sort of things that are like challenging, whether it's Christian based, whether it's, based on incarceration statistics and whatever. I'm reading all of that kind of stuff because I just like to be a person who has some knowledge of these things if the conversation pops up. So that's an area that I have a totally different perspective than I had when I was 35. And it's still evolving, and it doesn't mean I'm like super far left about it. I just have a different perspective, and I look at the founding of our country and how our economy was built on the backs of slaves. And I look at all that stuff differently. And I would say I found this way to say, like, whenever I bump into something like that feels like it's challenging my perspective, I immediately try to say, how does the way of Jesus coincide with this? Because I don't just want to become like some cliche people who are against the death penalty are definitely this way, and people who are pro-life are definitely this way. I hate all that. So I just try to say, no, where's the way of Jesus? Because I'm a person who is anti-abortion, I'm just being honest, and anti-death penalty. Because I'm like, I'm trying to find a pro-life ethic. Now, there's some nuance in all of that, but I'm saying I would generally start with, you're going to see me as, he's kind of pro-life ethic all the way across, and not in a finger pointy, I don't have picket signs. I'm just saying those are perspectives I'm still working through. And I say, if I do the way of Jesus, I bump into these things, right?
Yeah.
And I might change tomorrow, right? So there's a lot of that, that not only have I changed my mind about something like race, but I've also changed my loyalty to my mindset, right?
That's a really fascinating statement. Yeah.
But, and I think the best people, that's who you want. Not to be wishy-washy, but to say, if I bump into the truth and it's compelling or something that feels true and doesn't line up with my side, okay, I got to deal with that, right?
Yeah, I changed my loyalty to my
mindset.
Wow.
Yeah. I just did a lot. I'm sorry. That was a whole lot.
No, that's really powerful. I'm just kind of soaking that in. Well, I know that you and I have something in common that is pretty unique. Obviously, we're songwriters. We both have been artists on our own right, and we write a lot of songs with other artists. We spend a lot of our time kind of mentoring young artists, and which we've talked a lot about. But then we have something that's very unique, in that we also are both married to cancer patients.
Yes.
And we have kept that. I don't share a lot about that. For whatever reason, it's been something that for us has been something that I don't know. We've needed to kind of keep it in our house.
Yeah.
But man, it's been it has been encouraging for me to watch you wrestle with it kind of publicly.
Mm-hmm.
You've been putting it out there and sharing what you've been going through.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I feel like I still kind of keep it close to the vest compared to like a lot of things that I see, but I know compared to you, it's a lot more public.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, and maybe it's just you shared a few songs, you shared a few
Yeah,
updates.
right.
Um, but sharing what you are comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
would you tell us what the story has been for you guys, and what has that changed in your life and in you?
Yeah, and man, everything,
Right.
right? I mean,
Yes.
everything. And
Everything.
I joke that my daughter wanted to tell me something recently about a boy, nothing bad, just she's seeing a boy and she's 16, and it was kind of, that was the rule of, wait till you're 16. And she was nervous to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And she had told Staci, my wife, about it, and she's like, hey, she's nervous to tell you. And I was like, okay, to have her just come in here. And she was super nervous. I was like, hey, you need to understand that, like, I want you to make great choices. I know this kid, he seems great. I know you, I know your heart, I know what we've tried to teach you. But right now, this is nowhere near like stressing out dad. You're just not even, what I'm saying? Like, what I mean? And I don't mean to like be lazy about it, because I
No.
really,
Yeah.
really want to parent her well. And I told
Yeah.
her we're available, but if anything, you need to know that like your like freedom to be totally vulnerable and honest with us is at an all-time high, because I'm not going to be like freaking out about almost anything,
Yeah.
because day in, day out, I am concerned. I'm fighting for your mother's life.
Yeah.
Right. And here's where I want to be really careful. And I don't know where you are on this kind of stuff, but the only place I will be close to the vest in this is I don't want anybody out there sort of being like, whoa, that dude's life is awful. These are the things that I know from those kinds of stories that always happen. And I sort of like, I'm not going to over spiritualize or over like superstitionalize this, but I don't love the idea of like the whole world putting their sort of thoughts and prayers and whatever that I don't have any control over onto my life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because, does that make sense? Like, I just want,
yeah.
because this, oh man, my friend had that kind of can. And now they're just like saying things about your situation that are sort of declarations. And I don't know how I feel about any of that, but I'm just not, whether you're coming from like a new age bad energy, or whether you're coming from like a full on charismatic declarations or anything in between, I don't love that. So I'll just say we are in a struggle that's similar to yours in terms of the level of drama. And we are not even close to without hope at all. Like I have very, I think, somewhat realistic hopes for us and our future. And I also deal day in, day out, sometimes a lot more than other days, some days worse than others, with legitimate worries and concerns, that because it's cancer, and everyone knows that word is really, really weighted with, darkness and heaviness and scariness and all that. So,
and both of our wives have aggressive advanced cancer.
Right. Yes. Right.
And
people survive that, and people don't.
Yes. I'll say this. Let me just tell you a quick story. To just interject a little fun into this.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
We this morning we were at chemo, and we were sitting there, and my wife goes, "Did you see who's sitting next to us?" Like we were in one room, and then we had to move to like the big chemo room, and you know what this is. And she was getting her blood drawn in this one room. She goes, "Did you see who was sitting next to us?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't paying any attention." She goes, "That was Al Gore." I was like, "What? That was Al Gore
in Nashville?"
She was like, "That was Al Gore. He lives here."
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I actually just watched his TED Talk last night, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Al Gore." And then he walked in and sat like 5 chairs down the row. We were like, "Oh my gosh, that's Al Gore," but he had a mask on. And for like 45 minutes, we were like, that's Al Gore. Oh my gosh. And we're texting people. We're like, did you?
Well, the thing is, Al
And
Gore
then-
has such a he had such a basic look that I think I would question that it was him.
Well,
he's just kind of like a dude. He's just like a guy with like.
Yeah, I started.
He's kind of Mitt Romney. He's kind of Mitt Romney and Al Gore, kind of the same guy. Just like a boxy headed guy with a nice head of hair.
Well, I'm Googling. There's nothing that pulls up about Al Gore having cancer. So I'm like, well, okay.
So it wasn't
and I
him?
start looking. I'm like, he does have a mask. Maybe it's not. And I'm listening to his voice. I'm like, it sounds like him. And I said, it looks like him. And then the nurse comes over after a while.
I remember when I invented the internet. Say you invented the internet and see if he says anything. Or talk about how the environment's movement is BS. Oh, that's crazy.
And we're shopping. We needed to get a new car. And so I'm like looking up EVs because of the TED Talk I watched last night.
Yeah.
And so I kind of am talking about that real loud, hoping he'll listen. And then the nurse walks over to him and he goes, Mr. Randy. And I was like, dang it, it's not him. It wasn't him. So anyway, what's not Al Gore?
that finding out that it wasn't him is quite an inconvenient truth. Am I right? Oh, I just made you do a spit take.
It was a spit take. Anyway, there you go. For about 45 minutes, I thought I was in the room with Al Gore. So there you go.
Most of our time in the chemo chair is that person is just going to eat Skittles while they have cancer. That's what they think is the way to do this.
There's another guy. There's another guy who will sit a couple seats down who will full on do Zoom meetings, like with his AirPods on, sitting there with the screen, and is just like, Nancy, what's the EBT on the, and just like, is just full on loudly talking to his board of directors or whatever.
I mean,
and we're all just listening to this guy's Zoom meetings and asking for his TPS reports. And it is, we're like, we get it, dude. Okay.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I hate the loud sort of shared experience of that kind of thing, but I'm also like, that guy's just like, cancer ain't stopping me, guys. I'm sitting in the chemo chair doing my meeting, getting stuff done.
It's a weird life, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, but cancer changes everything is the point.
And
so what's it been like for you?
Yeah. So, you mentioned that I've been sharing songs, and for me, like one of the things that's been really interesting to me, and you'll really resonate with this, I think, because of our shared jobs and journeys. But I wrote so many things because, I have my like write for other people. And then I have my like, my songs and I have a, sort of 1,000 true fans thing where I'm just, it's not a huge thing, but I have loyal fans who, buy my stuff and engage with my stuff and that kind of thing. And that career is similar to yours in the sense that, we're saying these sort of left of center or less talked about things. We're speaking a little bit more honestly about our faith, about our struggles. And I have said so many things about suffering because I've had other traumas in my life that felt like the capital T trauma of my life was this. Okay, now I get suffering. And one of the hardest things for me and part of my songwriting thing now and what I'm sharing now is that I'm angry at myself and I have grace for it, but for being so certain that I got suffering, and also for saying these like comforting things that I don't get a lot of comfort from necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, one of probably my biggest song is this song called "Things That I'm Afraid Of," and it's this song about depression and anxiety. I wrote it coming out of depression and anxiety after my dad died drowning, and so it was this crazy thing. And so I wrote this song, and it's all about it's the big line. I'm basically walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and I'm not afraid because I am afraid, but the things I'm afraid of are afraid of God, so all the stuff that's coming at me has to sort of bow to him. And I believe that, man, I believe it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the moments, in the days after this diagnosis came, and those early days especially are just horribly frightening and dark. People would like remind me of that song. And I was so angry that I had been like, just play this song over your trauma and you're going to, and it's like, I think cancer is afraid of God. All right, sure. But right now it doesn't seem like that's causing any difference in what we're going through, and then there's this whole thing of like, you and I both know some folks who have deconstructed fully publicly with their with their music journey. And I think that's irresponsible in some ways, because it's like, hey, you can just do this privately. You don't have to like tell everyone all the reasons why they shouldn't believe. Right? That's really dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think even
burn your
like
neighbor's house down too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just kind of Jesus saying, hey, anyone who causes the little ones to stumble, going to get a big rock tied around your neck and thrown into the sea. You know, he's very serious about that. And so there's this kind of responsibility thing I'm trying to work through. So I'll write something, and then I have songs that I wrote just before this happened that I almost put out and then put the brakes on because I thought that's not something I would be able to sing tomorrow. Wow. If I had a show. I'll tell you, you'll love this. I had this song that I wrote that I was ready. It was mixed and ready to go in. I think my last production sort of conversation with my two friends who produced for me was around October 5th, and the song is called "I Want It," and it was this return to me. For me, it was a returning of like, I want to say that I really want to be close to God. Like that's something I would have said as a kid and as an early song, but then I probably got too cool to say that. And now I want to say it again because I really kind of miss that guy. You know, I'd like to be a wiser version of that guy who was always reading the Bible and always, you know, whatever. And so so the song is about, it, you know, starts by saying, I've heard about old men who like know when the weather's going to change because their bones ache, you know, and I kind of feel like my bones are aching. I kind of feel like my bones are aching, you know, like for a change. And is this you like wanting to know me better? And man, I really want that. Right. And the second verse is like, Mary, you know, the angel appears to her and says, you're highly favored. And she's like, that's troubling. And it makes me wonder, like, wait, when God says, I'm going to give you favor, should we be a little bit worried? Because Mary was troubled by those words. What does that mean? Did she think favored meant something else? You know, did she think it means consequences? So that's the verses. And then the chorus says, the old chorus says, if it's like a rainstorm, go ahead and tear the roof off my house. If it's like a river, pull me under until I drown. If it's like a ghost in need of a host, guess I gotta be haunted. Whatever it takes to be more yours, Lord, I want it. Okay? And October 15th, 10 days after I was ready to turn that in, my wife gets a cancer diagnosis, and I called up the two producers and said, this will never be released. I apologize. I've already paid you. Thank you. I'm never putting this out. I'm not going to say I want whatever God has for me to get close. I have no interest in that. And I don't want to curse people who listen, you know, whatever, you know, with it. And so I've spent a year or 9 months thinking through the bummer of how much I like that song and how it's not true for me. And I ended up finally writing a couple of things in it, you know, that made it true again, you know. And so now it says, if it's like a rainstorm, will you tear the roof off my house? If it's like a river, will I go under until I drown? If it's like a ghost in need of a host, and I'm not ready to be haunted, if that's what it takes to be more yours, I'm not sure I want it. That's what it says now, right?
Wow.
And that feels more responsible, but also kind of a little bit, I mean, it's honest, you know, but it feels a little more like, okay, be careful, you know, like, but I'm saying, I don't know if I want that kind of closeness. If that's how you know, the front row of heaven is full of people who's got their heads cut off, you know, for the sake of Jesus. No, thank you. I'll sit in the back row, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, I just don't know. I don't have, and I don't like the kind of casual, whatever you got to do to me to make me close. That just feels, you know, that's not who I am anymore. I really want closeness to God, but I'm telling you, I'm way too weak and fragile and broken and scared to beg for that, whatever it takes. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, it does make sense. It's very honest.
And I don't want to be that. I don't want that to be true.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like a youth group sentiment almost. It's a naive sentiment in some ways.
Right.
Even though there is a beauty to that statement.
Of course. And there's a hindsight beauty of someone being like 90 and saying, my life had all these trials, but I got so close to God. Okay, fine. That guy can say that. I'm not at that place yet. When you're fighting for your wife's life and you're fighting for your children's ability to process that situation, it feels weird to me. You know, it's funny. It's like an emotional version of people who want to argue for violence by saying, the reason why I'm pro-violence is because someone could break into my house and put a gun to my wife's head and kill my children, and I have to kill them back. That's what they say, and of course, I pick on that statement, right? Because it's ridiculous to me. But this is sort of an emotional version of that. Is that like I have to protect what I have here, so God, please don't do that to me, right? I'm not nuts about even. Gosh, I'm saying it in front of. I hope no one listens to this. No offense. But I'm not crazy about that idea. I'm just saying that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, faced with these situations you and I are faced with, it's hard not to feel like that.
Yeah. we're the tree begging for the axe in that sense, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to make me into a really cool log cabin or whatever, but I don't, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
Heaviest podcast ever. Dream crushers. Oh, man.
No, but that is, I appreciate that you're willing to have that, to think that through. Because I think a lot of people might, I don't know. I just think there are a lot of people who have an interaction with the song that is, that the writer or the artist did not give that level of thought to.
Sure.
And they bring with it their capital T trauma, right?
Sure.
And they go, oh, middle finger to that.
Yeah.
Right? If that's what you think this is, then this song has no place for me or my experience. So, they may never walk in the doors of the church again, or they may never. And I think there's a lot of people who they've had that experience, and that's, so.
Well, you and I both worked
all those people. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've and thanks for letting me say all that. You and I both worked for corporate entities who put out songs that say, God will move every single mountain in your path. God will always, never give you more than you can handle. Whatever these stupid, incorrect, irresponsible things are to say. And there are people, standing in churches or whatever venues or whatever, experiencing these songs and going, that's not correct.
Yeah.
So should I not believe in that God? That doesn't happen for me. Or am I? Oh, I guess I'm not. He doesn't like people like me.
Am I not praying hard enough? If I'm gonna, all those things. Yeah.
Sure. Who did this man sin against that made, who remember that story, Jesus, what did this guy's parents do? Why is he blind? His parents did something. So I'm just trying to, and here's the funny thing, dude, I got to make a living too. So and the only way I know how to redeem this is to write about it. And the only thing I'm really good at is writing. So in terms of monetizing, so I actually have to process this. So, it's sort of a crossroads of Ross, you can write stuff you don't mean. You can write meaningless things, just do sync or something, which I
write a country song. Yeah.
Sure. Or, you can write spiritual things that you don't mean. Good luck sleeping at night. You can write things that don't have a spiritual weight. Okay. That's probably the easiest path. But it's a competitive world of that too. And third is you can write exactly what you're going through as carefully and hopefully as you can. And that's what I'm trying to do,
Yeah. What's interesting too, I'm sure you thought of this. You had to have thought of this, but you were already on October 5th, bringing your capital T to that song, mentioning drowning in that chorus.
Right. Sure.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That did not, you're too.
No, I know when I use a word like drown,
you're not doing that by
dude.
accident.
Yeah, sure. Right.
So,
which can be kind of casual too. When I use a word like drown, I always think, geez, Ross, your dad drowned, careful, but yes, I'm, 12 years on from it. So I'm less, careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's,
I know this has been a long time. Have we covered what you wanted to cover?
No, I love this. Right, also, right. I kind of I like to see where we go. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about when you have been diagnosed pretty recently, and I hit you up with a crazy idea that we talked about for a while, and then both of our lives are too busy to actually do this thing. But I still love the idea, and I'm just going to talk about it on here while we're talking, because maybe somebody out there has the time and energy to, and it's like, hey, I'll help you do that, and then maybe we could try it.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll take somebody else to want to help us.
Yeah.
But when our wives got sick, both of us had to immediately drop the work that we were doing, change the work that we were doing.
Yeah.
And that was very difficult because we're caring for families. And it was very tough financially. And we're also supported by our communities and our families, which is very, I can't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
But I had this idea for one way that the communities could support people in that situation or in similar situations of sudden health emergencies, for people in maybe non 9 to 5 jobs, which was to have like a concert series where those people or people in their community, friends of them, could do like high dollar, expensive tickets for like a songwriter night. For instance, come see Andrew and Ross share some songs. Tickets are expensive intentionally so that in one night we could raise enough money to pay 1 or 2 months' bills for this family. Yeah. And you came up with the most amazing name for it, which was...
Well, the idea was yours. Oh, yeah, the name is Homebody.
But I had
Homebodies. It's awesome. It's awesome. I know it. Yeah, it's great.
The name is perfect.
It is. Yeah. Well, dude, the idea is killer. And look, we got to do at least one. We got to do one. One, because I need the money.
You do.
Two, because we can't just have an idea just out there like that and not do it. So we got to do one.
I think it would be such a great idea. And and ideally we could do it for some of the people on this podcast, but do it in a way that we could build something that could help other people who find themselves in this situation down the road. So we're just going to mention that, because if anybody is like, I want to help you, but we would love to do it.
Now, we're not saying go take the idea and the name, you jerks.
We are not saying.
We're not saying that. And this is on record as we came up with it first.
Yeah.
So this
Copyright.
is the public. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it. We need to do that. I would just, and honestly, I want to hear you sing your songs through this lens. You know what I mean? Just because I don't have anybody
to you.
I think it'd be so good for both of us just to have that. I mean, we might just be a mess, but I mean, how much have you played out in the time since your wife got sick?
I mean, it's been almost 2 years now for us. So a decent amount.
But I mean, you doing, hey, I'm Andrew, here's my songs for an hour. I've got to get through an hour of talking about not much, right?
Not much. And I can't remember any of my words. My brain is shot. Yeah. I literally am. It's hard for me to remember, to be able to focus.
Yeah. Speaking of things I used to judge people. I used to judge people
having a really
for not knowing their words. And now, same.
Yeah. It's to be able to just give myself to that much, focus and, clarity is like, I don't have that part of my brain right now.
Yeah.
It's been a real challenge, to be completely honest.
You can edit this out later, but are you medicated in any way at all?
I am not, but I do take a walk every day.
Okay. I'm a little bit medicated, and that's been helpful, but there's also
should.
And look, this is a whole other thing that, again, edit this out, but I got serious about my health when this started. Like I haven't seen you in person in a while, but I've lost 30 pounds probably since.
No, you were telling me, I remember we had coffee a couple months ago. And
there it was.
And you were, I don't, let's not edit this out if you don't mind. I mean, talk to me about
how to lose weight.
No, not how to lose weight, but like, I think there's something that's really, some people would lose weight because they are
depressed,
panicked, or they're depressed,
and there's an element of that, but that's not most of it.
But I feel like you were like intentional about like, I need to get healthy to be able to care for.
So I have this joke
the people around
that I'm a terribly undisciplined person, but I have what I call trauma discipline. And the best. It's real. And I maybe have told you this.
No, I get it.
I think I told you
Yes.
this, but I, my dad drowned, and that was in 2012, and we had a pool at the time back in Texas, and it was May whenever he died. And so in Texas, it's already time to swim. And we had this like little pool shed that had stuff in it from the last people that had owned the pool. So it had all, old pool noodles or whatever else. And in there was a scuba belt, which is this, 8 or 10 pound belt that's got these weights on it. And you it's what gets you down to the bottom of the ocean, whatever, right? So, and I don't scuba, but so anyway, a week after my dad died, I walked out to the pool. I dug around until I found the belt. I jumped in the deep end of our pool and started to tread water. I'm a mediocre swimmer at this time, and by the end of the summer, I could tread water for 3 hours, and I still can, because I said I'm not going to drown. Now remember earlier I told you about the two kinds of trauma.
Yeah,
I will do what I have to do, right? Well, that was I will not drown. And silly, right? Because you can't control it, but I said, I'm going to be a person who's undrownable. And that was a way to kind of deal with it, right?
Wow.
And I'm not that person, but I jumped in that water probably 5-6 times a week for a long time, right? To where I'd put my, by the time it's by iPod, but I'd put my music on and do my morning devotional while I'm just treading water for an hour, And at the end of that summer, or maybe the next summer, my son and I, he was pretty young and in great shape, had a treading water contest, and we quit at 3 hours because we were hungry, because he was in shape, so he could do it, but I was just able to do it. All that to say, when this happened, I remember maybe a week or two after my wife gets the diagnosis. I think we're probably post-surgery now, and she's miserable, and it's very, very scary time. And I walked in the bathroom, and I'm 30 pounds heavier than I am now, which is way too heavy. And I'm bags under my eyes because I'm not sleeping. And I looked in the mirror, and out loud, I said something like, "What kind of person makes it through this? Are you the kind of person that makes it through this? What are you going to do to get through this?" Just started talking like some crazy person. And I just went out there and just started made like a list of like, well, eat better, exercise more, read your Bible, I don't know, pray more, meditate, be a better parent. And I've not crushed all that, just so we're clear. But
sure.
But I'm the cook for the family anyway. So I'm like, I'm going to start, making us healthy. That's one little thing I can control. And so I just immediately dove into all those things. And, I just started dropping weight like crazy because I was eating really healthy. And I'm now way more disciplined about listening to the meditation apps and doing my morning devotionals. And when I go on my walk in the morning with the dog, I'm in prayer, I'm just way more because I have to.
Yeah.
It's not vanity. It's not improving myself for some like New Year's resolution. I have to do this. Like I will not make it. And when I go, when I fall off the wagon and drink a few nights in a row and eat garbage, I feel terrible. And I think, hey, this is not the kind of person that makes it through this. You got to be the kind of, and that's probably really legalistic and weird. And I don't need some psychologist to tell me this is bad. It's been good for me for the most part. But I'm saying to you, for me, it was like, dude, there's not a lot of choices here. You cannot function at the level, there's a level you got to be at. And I know you know this, to get through this. You and I don't, we don't have to get into the details, but you and I'll speak for us and say, listeners, Andy and I do things every single day that you've never heard of that are medically complicated, emotionally exhausting, and heavily time consuming. Every day we do things that you've never heard of every single day. And you'll never hear them. I pray you don't hear that. I don't mean that to be dramatic. I hope you don't. But we do stuff. And this doesn't say our lives are as bad as somebody digging ditches in Port-au-Prince, Haiti or something, okay? I'm saying we don't live the normal American regular guy life anymore, and may not again ever, if it may not again for a long time, because we are doing stuff in addition to all the stuff that stresses you out. We're doing some other stuff on top of that daily, that if we don't do, it's a risk to our families health and whatever.
Yeah.
Again, not trying to be like super dramatic, just being honest, right? I mean, I didn't overstate that. And because of that, I could not be 5'10", 195 pounds, which is what I was, and I could not be kind of sort of praying every once in a while, and I couldn't be drinking every night or drinking 5 nights a week or something, whatever I was doing, just can't do it. It's not going to work. So that's really all it was to me, just like out of the necessity of this. And I pray I can keep it up. But I feel, the funny thing is people are like, well, do you feel better? I'm like, well, grading on a curve, I feel fantastic.
grading on a curve. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel terrific and I wouldn't change it, but I hate that this is what it took. Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a flip side of that song I was saying, it's like, I wouldn't have asked for this to get this, but if I'm stuck with this for the time being, I'm going to get my life as right as I can get it in ways that might help us cope and function and adjust and,
Yeah. I mean, isn't that the case with so many things that we end up finding joy in or finding life in?
Yeah. You wouldn't have it. You wouldn't know about it.
Yeah. The things that we never would have chosen.
Sure. What's like, I know this has been all me. Like, what does that mirror for you? Like, what does any of that bring up for you? If you can share, I don't want you to, you have to overshare.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's almost endless, I would say. I mean, I already told you, I started this podcast because I got fired.
Right. Right.
I've been fired one time in my life. It was, and that wasn't fun. And that's so long ago now. It seems silly, but, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the last 2 years with cancer has just been, there's so many of those things.
You ran a half or a full or something marathon. Was it
no,
that new?
My daughter and I did a sprint triathlon a year ago.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, she came down one night. She just came down here, right before, she should have been in bed. She was like, she was about to start her senior year in high school. She goes, Dad, or she was a junior. She was, Dad, let's do a triathlon. I was like, I was in similar shape to what you described probably pre that. I think I got to the shape that you were when you decided to get in shape. Yeah. And, but yeah. And,
that's something you wouldn't have done. And the relational part of it with your daughter and.
Yeah. No, the triathlon itself was an unmitigated disaster. I did not do well, but I did it. I did do it. I did it. But the training was so fun to get to go for a bike ride, go run and just get to hang out with her and just talk about it, plan, go buy swim goggles and swim caps and, gosh, we had so much fun. It was awesome.
No, and I'm sure this is true for you too, but I, as recently as this week, had a conversation with one of my kids that I only had because of cancer.
Oh,
that was the most revealing, beautiful, connective conversations I've had with him in years. Yeah. And learn things about him that I didn't know, and just, I mean, that I hate even doing this because it's not like we're somehow, trying to make a redemptive thing out of it. And I don't have the interest in doing that, but I'm just telling you, when it's this broken, if you can find things to sort of make it a tiny bit less broken on a daily or momentary basis, man, reach for that. Right. I mean,
well, you said at the beginning of our conversation, you said, how did you phrase it? It was so wonderful, of loyalty to your mindset.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Not being loyal to your mindset.
Yeah. That it's harder to tell you what I've changed my mind on, and more easy to say I've changed how much loyalty I have to my mindset. Yeah.
And to me, I think that describes exactly how you handle those moments, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because there have been seasons of this journey that have been like where I have been maybe very loyal to the life we've had, and have made have just sort of tried to act as if we were still there.
Right.
And those have been bad days.
Right.
And then there are days where you go, okay, just embrace the new normal and lean into it. And those have been often joyful days in the midst of the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. Because here's my theory on that. We, in addition to grieving the actual thing that's happening, we have to grieve the death of the life we wanted. Right? I mean, and we don't, and no one knows how to help us with that, right? Because
it's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and if your marriage falls apart, there's a divorce proceeding. If someone dies a real death, there's a funeral. If there is a loss of a job, there's often a severance package or unemployment. This particular loss, there's no system for it, and people don't even know you don't even know you're doing it, and so you have to weep and just lean into, I wanted my life to be different. And I'm so angry and I'm so sad and I feel so betrayed and unfair and whatever words you want to put on it, you'll feel all those things. And it's really hard to do it because you think, well, I don't know what you think. I thought things like, I'm not ready to admit that, or I don't have time for that, or that's just, silly psychobabble, whatever, right? But you have to and this has been, I mean, I won't, be too interpersonal, but this has been a big thing for Staci and my wife and I through this process, is learning how to assess, okay, this vacation we want to go on, it's small, but it's the life we wanted. Oh, all right, our son's going to go to college here in a month. There's a way we sort of viewed that happening. It's going to be different than that.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not to mention just today's plans with how we're going to do dinner and how we're going to do whatever. There's just it's different. Your life and mine too, in different ways, they look so different than what they looked like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And not just because our kids are older or something, right? It's just,
Yeah.
And it's really challenging to know how to just admit and deal with that. Did that come through your thing too? That was my daughter asking for more time on something.
No, I didn't.
Okay, no, sorry. I'm getting these really loud, boop, boop, boop,
Oh no,
sorry.
That's
anyway, no, but that's been a real struggle for us. So
yeah, no, that rings very true. I mean, I think there have been moments earlier in my life feeling that, but probably never more so than in this season.
Oh yeah, I think we all, when you lost your job, when you whatever, there's ways and that's part of life, is adjusting to the changes. But I'm talking about when something drastically alters sort of even what's possible.
Yeah.
For your future, or at least what's likely.
Yeah. Thank you for putting words to that. That's helpful.
My wife did years ago. This is just real quick. I'll tell you, about a few months after my dad died, we were still living in Texas, and my mom, we were in the same town as my mom. She was struggling really hard, and my dad's brothers, he has 3 brothers who are all really successful and really kind, and whenever they would call and ask me, how's it going? What can we do for you? And I was in the car, and my uncle called me, and I'm talking to him about, whatever, something to help my mom with something. And we got off the phone and I started crying. And Staci's like, why are you crying? That was a really nice phone call. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to be in the middle of all this stuff and taking phone calls from my uncles about how to help my mom. I did whatever. And she goes, Ross, I don't know if you've even grieved your dad dying yet, because you still need to grieve the death of the life that you wanted. And I was just like, I'm the songwriter. I should be saying these kinds of things, but it's become like a motto for me, and that was before this happened. That was 12 years ago when what I thought was the big trauma of my life happened, So I just try to, keep that in my mind as something that a really healthy person does, even if I don't feel that healthy. But a really healthy person has to sort of actively, not passively. You got to act. You got to lean into this. And I'm not even sure I've done that as fully with this as I should. I try, but it's just because, again, for you and me, this stuff changes sometimes. Even just as you start to grieve what you think is the new whatever. Oh, now another development happened, or something Positive happens in the progress. Oh, okay,
yeah.
maybe I might get it back now, or because I mean, guys, this is not a straight line that Andrew and I are dealing with.
Yeah,
We've both had moments of, oh, it's way better now. Oh, now it's way worse. Oh, false positive. Oh, false. Or blood marker terrible, scan great. Blood marker great, scan terrible. Right? People don't get this.
Or take a test,
symptoms.
wait 4 weeks to get the results.
Right. And in those 4 weeks, because symptoms are bad, assume all the worst, get the test. Oh, it wasn't as bad. So I just spent 4 weeks giving myself ulcers and maybe making your cancer worse with all of our stress or whatever. Just all those things. It's crazy, so anyway.
Yeah.
And
then you think you're sitting next to Al Gore. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not. It's just Randy.
You're not. It's just Randy.
Randy, change your look, bro. Change your look, Randy. If you're out there, Randy who looks like Al Gore, you know who you are. You look like Al Gore. This happens to you. He takes off the mask and he's got like, a big beard and
nose rings.
Exactly. It's not at all.
Yeah. Ross, thank you so much for making time and for being so just amazing, sharing all this. You've been a dear friend in all this, and it's been a gift to talk with you, and but also for people out there who haven't listened to Ross's music, he puts as much care into these songs as you hear in this conversation. So if people want to find your music, where do they find it, Ross?
I mean, easiest is just search Ross King on all the DSPs, and then my handle on stuff like Instagram and whatever else is Ross King Music. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I got off that because I just was so mad.
That's probably wise.
All the time. But you can find me on all the others. So yeah. And look, if you're out there and you heard about Homebodies and think we should do it, please let us know and help us, because it needs to happen. So
wouldn't that be so fun?
It'd be so fun. All right.
Man, you're the best.
You are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man.
Wasn't that great? Ross is such an amazing guy. If you want to support him and his family, one easy way to do it is listen to his music, and you will love it, I promise you. It's amazing. You might recognize a lot of the songs from other artists that have recorded his songs, but hearing him in his own voice sing them, it's beautiful, wonderful stuff. Also, if one of you out there is crazy enough to try to help us get Homebodies off the ground, we'd love to give it a shot. So give us a shout, and we'll figure something out. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. You can go to andrewosenga.com. You can get my book, How to Remember. We got the vinyl record, Hold the Light, all sorts of things. You can find me on my Substack, and that's where I'm writing every week about faith and culture and art and music and all sorts of things. It's also where you can get in touch to talk about the podcast or Homebodies or whatever else you want to talk about. But let us know how we can make this show the best we can for you. But I hope you've enjoyed this time with Ross. I know I really did. Staci was an amazing woman, and it was an honor to get to bring this conversation to you this week. We'll have another great episode next week. For now, go do something awesome.